Phoenix.
Okay, Dark Phoenix culminates a 20-year history of groundbreaking superhero films of this successful franchise. And in this video, I just want to talk about more about how these films have been so groundbreaking, so influential to films like The Avengers and for the MCU.
This film is directed by Simon Kinberg, who also did such films as Mr. and Mrs. Smith, as well as he's responsible, partly responsible for the X-Men franchise, as well as Sherlock Holmes. Okay, Dark Phoenix, this film takes place when it's trying to set up we've seen these directors try to do the Phoenix saga. They vaguely tried to do it in the X-Men The Last Stand, and we saw a little bit of that in X-Men Apocalypse.
A lot of times with that, films like that fail when they try to do something like that.
But it seems pretty clear to me that they don't know how to do a proper Phoenix saga or really a proper X-Men movie. But I am very biased to what people say about this movie. People say this movie is the worst of the franchise, and I might agree with them on that. Any of you guys know the X-Men, the animated series?
X-Men, the animated series, had the freedom to do a storyline like this because it was more closer to the comic books than anything. So the Phoenix saga was perfect for something like this.
You know that the X-Men go into outer space to infiltrate a space shuttle crew, but in this movie they're going there to rescue a crew of trapped astronauts, and when a strange force, extraterrestrial force, overtakes Jean Grey,
the Phoenix takes over her and she becomes something else entirely.
She becomes what the children out here call the Phoenix, which is and I want to talk about a little bit before I continue with the review what the Phoenix really is. If you guys know Marvel Comics at all, if you guys grew up with Marvel Comics at all, I don't know if you guys grew up with this stuff, but I did, or at least saw the animated series. The Phoenix is a mythological bird made of fire that has a unparalleled will for love, rage, and passion of whatever it decides to. It's kind of like just it's a force, a strange extraterrestrial force. So it overtakes Jean Grey, and she becomes this. She's kind of conflicted and overtaken by this force. Whenever she feels she's threatened, or people she loves is threatened, or whenever she feels that somebody's trying to hurt her, she basically. So the X-Men try to find out what's going on, and so they decide to. And I'm gonna there's some spoilers in this video, of course. Be prepared for that. So in the beginning, we get the opening scene where you see Jean Grey as a child once again, just like on the other movie with The Last Stand, except this is a whole different thing. So forget about what you saw in the previous X-Men movies, because this movie really is not connected to any of the X-Men movies, because X-Men Days of Future Past basically changed everything. So they're kind of writing history as they go. So she becomes annoyed when they have music on, so she causes the car to crash, killing her mother and injuring her father. And this is a flashback. And so basically Charles Xavier represses her memories, so she becomes a raging inferno when she becomes angry. So and I want to try to put this together as much as I can, because yeah, this movie, I want to talk about, also want to get into this, the aliens, the main villains of this movie. I don't know if you call them the main villains of this movie because nobody ever explains what they are, who they are, because there is, I want to keep in mind before I end this video, I'm going to talk about the reshoots and the whole aftermath of of just kind of putting the release date. It was supposed to come out last year, so the X-Men try to stop her from, she goes to see her father when she finds out that her father tells her that Charles Xavier told her that her parents were dead, and when she finds out they're not dead, she visits her father and finds out that, according to what her father said, that Charles Xavier lied to her, so she becomes enraged, and the X-Men go there to try to stop her, and Mystique, and I want to keep in mind that Jennifer Lawrence, it was common knowledge already that this was going to be her last X-Men film in the franchise, and so in a fit of rage, she kills Mystique. That is the spoiler that people were trying to find out. And we kind of already knew it was going to be Mystique thanks to a lot of these YouTubers, a lot of these bloggers that mess up things for us because the trailer really didn't tell us a whole lot. So now the X-Men are in a conflict because there's different points of view because Charles Xavier is trying what he has been trying to accomplish. Up to this point, the X-Men are now authorized by the government to operate and stop whatever superhuman threat comes to humanity. So Charles Xavier is a humanity. He has a vision of humanity and mutants coexisting, and that conflicts because when Beast, Nicholas Hoult plays Beast, finds out what happens, sees what happens. He starts to argue with Xavier. These are different points of view because before Raven Darkhold, Mystique is murdered by Jean Grey. When she stabs her, she falls into some kind of plywood, and Charles Xavier becomes in a kind of there's a lot of like internal conflict within the team because Storm believes that Charles Xavier should stop or destroy Jean Grey because she killed Mystique, and Beast also believes that, and he had told Charles Xavier that it kind of let you know that Mystique was gonna branch off and move on her own and leave the X-Men. They kind of gave you a clue that was gonna happen. So moving on, so they go after the Phoenix, and there is a strange extraterrestrial force. Probably one of the biggest. I'm going to get into that right now. So they have to stop. They have to stop Jean Grey from killing someone else. So when Beast decides to go rogue and after Raven's death, he goes to Jean Grey actually goes to look for help for Magneto. And when he's basically trying to find out why she's there, why she has blood on her shirt, and so Henry McCoy visits him and tells him that Raven Darkhold is dead, and he finds out that Jean Grey killed him. He wants to go kill her. So does Beast. Beast decides to trade sides for the time being for a moment to go and try and stop because basically Magneto is living with. He's been trying to keep the mutants, or trying to help mutant kind from, the tyranny and the confusion that is created between the humans and mutant life. So he has kind of like almost like a Genosha type place. Nobody ever says it's Genosha or anything like that, but it's a lot like it. So he goes to try to stop her, and basically the main villains of this film. The main villains are disposable, and they don't really mean anything because you don't even know who the hell they are, so they don't really clue you in. So it's a final battle between the X-Men and the aliens, as well as the remaining mutants that tried to stop Jean Grey. So Jean Grey is basically trying to stop herself from when she becomes enraged from hurting somebody or other people. And the government finds out, so they decide to try to stop her. And when they go to that village, that Magneto has all the other mutants with him. And when that fails, then the government decides to not fund or fund or stand behind the X-Men, and so now they have to try to stop Jean Grey. All right, now I want to talk about there's everybody brought did the best they could with this movie really, because I don't see any really lackluster performances on the movie. I think everybody did just fine. I mean, everybody did the best what they could to this, because this movie had a lot of problems going in behind the scenes. So I think everybody did a commendable job. And I think Sophie Turner, given her history with depression and a lot of the backlash because of her with Game of Thrones, so it is common knowledge that Sophie Turner has had thoughts of suicide and depression because of her. She's basically not able to take criticism, because criticism is something that actors, filmmakers, and so forth people have to take. So it is common knowledge also that there was a lot of arguing behind the scenes in this movie, and there is a rumor that the cast were actually two members of the cast members of the movie actually argued with Sophie Turner, or it is common knowledge that Sophie Turner's not really the argumentative type or something like that. So you could see the conflict in this movie, not just with the actors, but with the writing, because the negative of this movie really, I don't see really anything wrong outside of that. This movie has almost nothing to do with the X-Men Phoenix Saga, because the X-Men Phoenix Saga is in two parts. One, when Jean Grey becomes the Phoenix and she helps her defend the universe against the Shi'ar Empire, Emperor Decan, who is the brother of Lilandra, and the Dark Phoenix Saga, where Phoenix goes rogue and she becomes this evil, known as the Black Queen, and joins the Hellfire Club, this secret society of mutants that are operating for mutant kind for their own selfish reasons. So that's in a nutshell, that is the Phoenix Saga. Number one, the Phoenix Saga. Then the Dark Phoenix Saga. If you want to go check this out, go watch X-Men the Animated Series and whatever streaming service you have or whatnot, because if you guys really want truth, know what the hell's going on in this movie, what they're trying to put across, because it didn't really translate well to the screen. So, but I think that overall, I think this movie's just fine. I don't think there's anything there. Okay, what I'm trying to say is this movie is not faithful to the comics, but as a film, it is actually not too bad of a film. What really put me out of this movie is they had no explanation who the aliens were, because the aliens were at first the aliens were supposed to be the Skrulls. You guys remember in Captain Marvel, the Skrulls were featured for the first time in Captain Marvel, and then there was also talk about the Shi'ar aliens, which is a completely different alien race led by Lilandra, and it has a whole history in the comic books, as well as if you guys watch the animated series. So there's no explanation who the alien. So Jessica Chastain, an accomplished actress, a good actress, is wasted in this movie really, because there is no explanation. There's no rhyme, no reason who they are or anything. So it really it means nothing. So they're basically a side character. They're kind of there. They're there, but they're just not there, and it doesn't really. They don't really explain. And this, my friends, is the reason these problems is because there was a lot of reshoots, and so the original ending was supposed to take place in outer space, and it was supposed to be the Skrulls. I don't know if you guys see this movie, if those are the Skrulls or not, because they're definitely not the Shi'ar aliens. So I have no clue what the hell is going on, but overall, this movie is just all right for me. I mean, I'm gonna give this movie this rating. I am gonna give this movie that was all right rating, because this movie is not a really bad movie. It's just it suffered a lot because a lot of internal conflict between behind the scenes, lots of reshoots, and internal conflict between the writers. I don't know exactly what was going on exactly, because I just want to talk about before I sign off. I'm going to be doing another video talking about, this is 20 years of X-Men movies, and it culminates. Is this a good send off to the X-Men franchise? No, it is not, and I'm very disappointed, because this movie could have been a great movie. It could have been a good movie, but the problem with this is Fox is not. It is abundantly clear that Fox is not a concern. Is embarrassed of putting. They're too embarrassed of putting costumes and spandex, or just being true to the comic book roots of this franchise to really give they don't care. They just don't care. It's like they're embarrassed about it, so they rather have the X Men and these. And I want to talk about the X Men uniforms on this movie. Those were inexcusable. They don't even qualify as the X Factor. That's another X Men team, by the way. Uniforms. It looks really crappy. They look really crappy. The costumes for the X Men and the special effects were commendable. There's some that didn't work for me, but it wasn't awful. So this movie's not awful. It is the first comic book based superhero team movie ever. Before Avengers, before all you guys had this love affair for the event. I'm talking about all you YouTube bloggers, all you writers and journalists that just cannot get your head out of the Avengers, and before Avengers, there was X-Men, and people forgot about that. They basically forgot about that. But I honestly agree that this is probably, in a nutshell, the worst X-Men movie ever. But I refuse to say it's an awful movie. It's not an awful movie. It's like that girl or something like that. Or guy that used to get talked about in school. They're like, I don't know, there's nothing there. It's just bullying. That's what I think about this movie. But it is actually, I enjoyed myself. The other actors, Jessica Chastain. I kind of think Jessica Chastain was lackluster, but it's not on her part. It is the writing that is lackluster. So, because unexplained, what the hell who these aliens were. We're not exactly what they were. They Shi'ar? Were they Skrulls? What were they? We don't know. So tell me what you think about this video tell me what you guys think about what I talked about. It is 20 years of X-Men movie. Was there a payoff in this movie? Yes, there was in some way because everybody put their 110% what they had left. It's basically this movie. Yes, this movie has a plot hole, some plot holes, but really the plot hole for me. There's no because Magneto he decides to side with the X-Men because at first he wants to kill Jean Grey, and because the aliens who were they? I don't know. You know? Watching this video, I don't know. See what I'm talking about? All right, you guys. Thank you guys for those of you that have viewed my videos. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting this blog, and you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, get ready because I'm going to be talking more about the X-Men because it's not going to take one video for me to do this. All right, I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.